You ready now? Katie, are you ready? 3, 2, and 1.
All right. Thank you, Dr. Ernest and Brian. Good morning and welcome to the October. I was thinking about time is flying. I mean, it is flying. To the October State Board of Education meeting. We are so glad to see quite a few of you here. I know we have others joining online. Before I get started, actually, let's go ahead and, gosh, I feel like I need to start again. This has been quite a morning already on phone calls, and I'm jumping right to comments and getting it going. How about we start with the roll call though? Thank you, Philip.
Take a breath.
Yes.
Mr. Bess.
Here.
Ms. DeLosa.
Present.
Mr. Durham.
Present.
Dr. Ernest.
Here.
Mr. Gassnow.
Here.
Ms. Hamill.
Here.
Mr. Mapes.
Here.
Ms. Moat.
Here.
Ms. Rentschler.
Here.
Mr. Watts.
Here.
And Dr. Jenner.
Here. Let's please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Before we approve the agenda, can I get a motion to move public comments right after we do discussion items?
So moved.
Second.
With a motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Is there a motion to approve the minutes from the September 11, 2024 meeting?
So moved.
Second.
The motion and a second, any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Okay, now, statement from the chair. I think I had so many exciting things to share with the board today that I just was ready to go right out of the gate. Quite a few, thank you, Molly. Quite a few really exciting things have happened since we last met just about 3 weeks ago. The first is in Indiana, 16 schools were recognized as National Blue Ribbon schools. That is a major deal. 15 of the 16 schools were recognized as exemplary high-performing schools, which recognizes our schools with the highest graduation rates and the highest achieving students in ELA and math. And I'm going to take a moment just because of the major honor that this is and read that list to you. Bar Reeve Middle and High School, St. Mary of the Knobs Catholic School, which is the Archdiocese of Indianapolis, St. Theodore Guerin High School, Diocese of Lafayette in Indiana, St. Francis and Clare of Assisi Catholic School, Indianapolis, Meadowview Elementary School, Westview School Corporation, Heritage Christian School, Paramount Cottage Home, Roncalli High School, Indianapolis, St. Pisces Catholic School, Indianapolis, Ladoga Elementary School in South Montgomery Community School Corporation, Porter Lakes Elementary School in Porter Township, St. Wendell Catholic School in Evansville, West Lafayette Elementary School, Oak Hill Elementary School in Evansville, Pine Village Elementary School, MSD Warren, and then one school was recognized as an exemplary achievement gap closing school, which recognizes schools that go above and beyond in narrowing achievement gaps between various student populations, and that was St. Thomas More School in Gary. Huge congratulations to those 16 National Blue Ribbon schools. On Wednesday this past week, we had two big celebrations at the State House. In the morning, we recognized almost 300 elementary schools who had all achieved 90% or more of their students demonstrating reading proficiency on the iRead in this past 2024 year. It was a packed house, and just really, really proud of all of the schools. That was an increase from last year. The afternoon on Wednesday, we also had the first ever early childhood registered apprenticeship program signing. You're going to hear more about that as a board today, but that was such a cool event where students came to the State House and actually signed to become an early childhood teacher. And then on Friday, we named the 2025 Indiana Teacher of the Year. Mrs. Graciela Miranda teaches 9th through 12th grade English language learners at Pike High School in Indianapolis. This is her 23rd year of teaching, and Mrs. Miranda also spends her summers supporting students through Boys and Girls Club, Indy Summer Learning Labs. As you all know, so many of our teachers, they work incredibly hard during the school day, and many don't see what all they also do after school, before school, on the weekend, during the summer. And Mrs. Miranda is an amazing example and will represent Indiana very well. Another big shout out, today happens to be National Custodian Day. How many of you watched America's Got Talent? Anyone? I mean, what a inspiring performance over and over to see one of our very own, Mr. Richard, who is a custodian right here in Indiana at West Vigo Middle School in Terre Haute. He actually auditioned for the show, as he said, because he was encouraged by his students and other staff members, and he ended up winning. So just so proud of him. It goes to show our staff and educators have so many talents and skills, some that we may not even know. And just really proud of Mr. Richard for how he represented Indiana. Also, Governor Holcomb declared next week, October 6th through 12th, Indiana Principals Week. I know our principals executive director is here, Todd Best. You know, our principals, and even when we heard, I think about most recently, when we got our iRead scores and had a couple of schools, probably 3 schools come in and present about how they did it, and it started with leadership, supporting teachers, making sure it's intentional every single day for kids, watching and ensuring that the data is being not only followed, but interventions are provided based on that data. So principals are not only the instructional leaders, they also do everything they can to ensure school safety, to ensure parent-family involvement. So a huge thank you to our principals as we go into Principal Week next week. Today we'll hear from Dr. Rebecca Estes, Assistant Secretary of Educator Talent, on the ongoing efforts to strengthen Indiana's educator pipeline and recognize the impactful work of educators across the state. Are there any other board member comments? Mr. Best.
Yeah, I've got one. I just wanted to shout out. I think Chesterton Doolin was highlighted in an Education Week article on their internship program and how they're making that work and working within the community. And I think it's just a great example of, as we move forward with the diploma work and work-based learning, there are schools who are actually doing that now, right, and are really looking forward to, what's possible later with the SEALs and everything else. I just thought it was cool that, nationally, Indiana High School was getting a shout-out from a publication that's read pretty widely.
Yeah, absolutely. And board members, did you all get that article? If not, I'll text it to all of you. It's an excellent, excellent article. I'm glad you shouted that out. And actually, the week before, one of our school superintendents, George Philhauer, was featured in an Ed Week article about how important it is to have relationships to really drive good change. So, yes, thanks for saying that, Scott. Any other board comments? All right, seeing none, let's go ahead and go to the consent agenda. And I believe I have one person who may.
Dr. Jim?
Yep, yes.
I'd like to recuse myself from item A.
Item A, Erica DeLosa is recusing herself. Thank you. Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So moved.
Second.
The motion and a second, any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. All right, so we'll go ahead and shift to discussion item and have Dr. Estes come up and present to us.
Good morning,
Good morning.
Dr. Jenner, board. Thank you for this opportunity to provide an update focused on educator talent, quality, and value and recognition efforts. There we go. As you know, the work we focus on at the department is grounded in one of these three pillars: student learning and opportunity, educator talent, quality, and value, system alignment and capacity. And today I'm going to focus in on specifically educator talent, quality, and value. I'm trying to figure out if I'm pushing the button or if you're pushing the button.
Should be the down arrow to go to the next one.
Thank you. So on a personal level, I started with the department 5 years ago this month with the hope of elevating the education profession, and I say with the utmost confidence that the team led by you, Dr. Jenner, has been hyper-focused in on elevating the mission and value of educators, recruiting more of Indiana's best and brightest to serve in the classroom and in leadership roles, working to improve access to effective professional development, improving guidance, support, and accessible data for those recruiting, educating, and mentoring educators, and creating networks for sharing information, practices, and ideas among educators. So thank you for the last several years and really the hyper-focus in being able to do that. You've likely heard us reference that there are more than 65,000 teachers at over 2,200 schools across the state. There are also approximately 1,400 teaching vacancies currently posted on the statewide job board across all grade levels and all content areas. As we look at educator data from a variety of perspectives, we see more mobility across the state rather than exiting the profession, and we still see fewer aspiring educators that are completing our preparation programs. So there's plenty of work to do, but there were over 29,000 licenses issued so far this year, so we do see a significant number of renewal and initial licensure applications being processed and issued across the state. The ability to see this vacancy data in real time is a result of Governor Holcomb's next level agenda and has had a significant impact on prioritizing efforts to solve for very specific recruitment needs across the state based on content area and geographic location. For instance, the STEM vacancies in some of our rural schools across the state was a driving force in the creation of the iSTEM program and why there is incentivization for completers to work in a STEM role in a rural location that had vacancies. Additionally, the supply side of the educator supply and demand marketplace allows recruiters to see potential candidates and begins to give us some sightlines into what we can project the pipeline to look like further into the future with data from candidates who are in their preparation programs currently. Additionally, while we talk a lot about the teacher pipeline data within the marketplace, it also supports the recruitment of all school-based roles because we know it takes bus drivers, cafeteria workers, school secretaries, custodians, sorry, as a former school principal, I felt like that one needed to be repeated, to run a school effectively. As I mentioned, the data has helped us zoom in and focus on addressing Indiana's special education teacher shortage, English language teacher shortage, and STEM teacher shortage. When we can talk about very specific challenges, it allows us to find strategic solutions. You heard last month about the ISEAL and ASSET program, so I won't spend a ton of time there, but ISEAL is one of the most successful initiatives I've witnessed over the last 5 years. Dr. Holsapple, along with Scott Bogan and Risa Renee, worked with many collaborators to bring this vision to life, and it has helped support nearly 600 individuals already to completion, while others are still actively working toward their full certification. This is huge for our special education vacancies across the state and being able to fill those roles. ITIL was launched after ISEAL and has also supported over 200 individuals to completion, with more enrolled and working toward full certification to increase the number of qualified English language learner teachers. And finally, iSTEM launched most recently and has already supported over 375 individuals to completion of a STEM certification, and many more are rapidly approaching completion of either a STEM license addition or an initial license supported by completion of a transition to teaching program. In addition to those very targeted approaches to solve for some specific challenges, I wanted to circle back to the Attract, Prepare, and Retain grant that we awarded back in 2022. Over $10.6 million was given to schools, higher education institutions, and professional organizations across 27 Indiana counties to support their ideas for attracting, preparing, and retaining Indiana educators. Through these grant activities, over 3,000 high school students were supported in participating in Educator Pathways courses. Over 4,500 students were supported as they enrolled in undergraduate, T2T, and graduate programs, and over 500 educators received compensation through Developed Career Ladders program for mentoring other beginning teachers. As we work with our evaluation partners and grant recipients, we look forward to seeing how many of those early in the pathway future educators fill roles across the state and the impact of the Career Ladders models that were implemented on retention. Additionally, through the hard work of the Office of Kindergarten Readiness, led by Dr. Kelly Cervisi, as Dr. Jenner mentioned, we also had the opportunity to celebrate with 65 students from 7 high schools as they came to the State House for the first registered apprenticeship signing day. If you didn't have the opportunity to attend, let's take a moment to witness together the excitement that existed at the State House during that signing event.
I often think about high school athletes have signing days, and it's about time that teachers also have signing days. There's no doubt education and being a teacher, it is a calling. Right now, you're in high school, you're gonna experience work-based learning, you'll work with real students and teachers actively at it. You're probably gonna earn some money. You'll earn a credential of value. Credential of value is educational attainment that no one can ever take away, and you earn that in high school. You are the first in Indiana.
I am so proud and so excited.
I like signing my name on the paper. And I like that I get to get this. Like, this is nice.
I have a calling with kids. I love working with them. Since I've joined the early childhood program at the Polytech, I've worked with my littles and I love doing it. They're so great to be around. I want to work in a school counselor's office with children, but I want to minor in education, so this is something that is helping me work with that and really confirmed that I wanted to do this after high school.
I plan to go to college to hopefully get my master's in education and then hopefully be an elementary teacher at an ELC. We have truly learned so much. I feel like we've gotten like a wide range of experiences and we've taken so much from this program.
You also come out of it being CPR certified. Not only that, but you also get college credits. You get paid. You get to do something that you love to do and get paid for it, which is really nice.
This is a great gateway for you to just continue and do this in college and for you to get that kind of experience now so you're more prepared than the other students later.
Apprenticeships, I feel, are the direction education is going. It is the future. Our town has 1,500 people, and so it feeds Walton, which has 1,000 people. Neither town has a stoplight. So we have a flasher, a four-way stop. What we've shown is that if we can do it at a rural school, anybody can do this. The opportunities are there. You just got to think a little creative.
I love that closing comment. You just have to be a little creative. So I want to make sure we have a chance to get rid of the echo. As much as I love hearing my voice in the background. Said nobody ever. As exciting as it is to think about the future of the educator pipeline, one of my favorite things to talk about is all the ways this team has been intentional about recognizing the amazing educators who serve Indiana students, and often do so with incredible humility and without seeking recognition. That said, this feels like a really great opportunity to share. We heard this morning that we surprised Mrs. Graciela Miranda last week as Indiana's 2025 Teacher of the Year. So as we mentioned, she is a Pike High School teacher, and when I walked into her classroom during Top 3 surprise visits several weeks ago, you would have thought her students won the lottery. The level of excitement for her was undeniable and really just reiterated that we were in the right space, recognizing the right person. Our team has worked to build the Teacher of the Year program to align with the goals to inspire, rejuvenate, and celebrate the teaching profession. Over the past 3 years, we've created a program in collaboration with the Teachers of the Year that provides them with opportunities to be the teacher voice in rooms where decisions are being made, to shine the spotlight on other educators who are doing amazing things, and to emphasize the importance of the program existing to elevate the whole profession. It is not necessarily a prize to be won, rather a prestigious opportunity that often comes with a lifetime of additional opportunities. I don't want it to sound like all work. Indiana, like most states, supports the Teacher of the Year in participating in national events alongside other Teachers of the Year, and I have no doubt that Graciela will feel like a prize was won when she attends Space Camp next summer. It was the very first thing her oldest daughter asked about when we met last week. Is it true that my mom is going to get to go to Space Camp if she's Teacher of the Year? Yes. Wait until she finds out she also gets to be spotlighted in the Indy 500 parade and go to the White House, along with many other opportunities that will come her way. Speaking of really exciting ways to celebrate teachers, last year we were able to surprise 2 Milken educators in collaboration with the Milken Family Foundation. This isn't an award anyone can apply for. Feels a little top secret, that's because it is. You just never know when or where we will show up for the next one, or 2, each year. Josh Dingledine and Kendra Randall certainly had no clue they were about to be surprised with a $25,000 check the morning they woke up to go to work the days we showed up to celebrate with them. Speaking of celebrations, we talked a little bit about this earlier. Right before the team hosted the apprenticeship signing day last week, they also celebrated educators at the Literacy Achievement Celebration in the North Atrium of the State House. While we emphasized significant growth at August's board meeting and celebrated those schools who made huge gains, last week's celebration brought those schools who have met the state's 95% reading goal to receive recognition. Thank you again to all of the educators for putting in the extra effort to do whatever it takes to ensure students are able to read. And finally, a few weeks ago, we culminated a year of recognition at the 3rd Annual Educational Excellence Awards Gala. Nearly 550 educators and guests attended this red carpet event, and both schools and educators were recognized for their excellence, and nearly $4.5 million was awarded to schools, along with thousands from sponsors going directly to educators in the room. I have the privilege and honor to serve our state in my role. I have an amazing team of individuals who could not be more passionate about Indiana's teachers and students. And while we certainly are never bored by any stretch of the imagination, we're always looking for amazing educators to visit in the classroom. So if you know an amazing educator who is making great things happen for kids, please don't hesitate to use some of the resources on this next slide to make them known. And while I leave these on the screen for a moment, I want to take a moment to let you hear from one of our Educator Excellence Awards recipients. It's fun for us to tell you all about the gala and all of the recognition that's happening across the state, but I've listened and watched Kathy Nimmer light up a room with her passion for Tippecanoe School Corporation's newest teachers and her desire to support them through induction and mentorship. I won't say much more, but invited Kathy and her team to share just a few moments about what the Excellence Award and recognition has meant for their program. Kathy? Kathy has a special guest, Tate. He celebrated a 5th birthday this week.
Good morning.
Good morning. Thank you so much for welcoming us here this morning. I have brought with me my partner in the program we run in Tippecanoe School Corporation, Dr. B. Yonker, who is passing out just a little handout that talks about our program, as well as my assistant, Kim Bowers, who drove us down here today. And yes, Tate is now 5, and he partied so hardy that he's probably going to fall asleep now, so that's a good deal. As Rebecca said, I am Kathy Nimmer. I was the 2015 Indiana Teacher of the Year and national finalist. When I came back from that odyssey, my district, led by Dr. Scott Hamback, began talking to me pre-COVID about the challenges of teacher shortages and the need to focus more on retention and recruitment. We began at that point creating a position for me where I taught half of the day at Harrison High School in the English department, which is where I began my career, and the other half of the day supporting new teachers. COVID came, and it was time that we made this into a complete program. Thus, SEEDS was born. SEEDS, supporting educators entering district service. This program wraps around teachers who are brand new to the profession or brand new to our school district and helps them have a better couple of beginning years with us than they would have had otherwise. We focus in this program on the well-being and the happiness of our teachers, because if all of those other things are sideways and inconsistent and challenging, as teaching often is, if their well-being is intact, then they will have the resilience to keep going. If somebody asks me what I do, my short answer to that is I have the privilege of loving those teachers. And love looks different ways, depending on the teacher situation. And because of the grant that came with our Excellence in Leading and Learning Award, we were able to love them immensely over and over again in the last few months. We earned $250,000 that we have been able to use in a variety of ways for our new teachers. Some of those include that we were able to send 10 teachers to the National Get Your Teach On Conference in Orlando, also 10 other teachers to the National Teacher Leadership Conference in Denver, Colorado. We were able to have a staff renewal day that welcomed teachers, paras, secretaries, and other entities from our district to Camp Tecumseh before the school year started, where they did all kinds of things, including zip lining and archery. I chose not to partake in the latter. So we were able also to buy a lot of stuff for them. We gave all of our first and second year teachers in TSC what we called starter kits, which were boxes full of over $200 of items that we felt they might not have even thought about that they might need, such as 3M stickers to hold posters on walls and holders for the markers that they use on the whiteboards. We were able to open a, quote, free store, which has a bunch of other supplies that they can order at any time during the semester for free and get delivered to their classroom. We now have a professional library of books that were recommended by a bunch of different educators in our district, and they can request those at any time. However, I want to spend the last couple of minutes I am here talking with you to share 3 stories. If you know me, I am a storyteller, and this is where my heart is. So I want to introduce you to 3 of our new teachers and how they used what we ended up giving them, which was a $300 amount to spend on the things that they needed for their classrooms. This was in addition to everything else that we talked about. They were, of course, ecstatic. We got some kind of crazy questions about what they might be able to buy from Amazon. Many of those were yes, yes, yes. A couple of those were a hard stop, no. And we won't talk about those. But I want to tell you about 3. Kristen is a 3rd grade teacher, brand new, at Klondike Elementary School. She was a para-educator for the vast majority of the last several years. And in the role of supporting in the classroom, she found an awakening to become a teacher herself. She finished that work and is now in her first classroom. She wrote me very quickly after I put the news out that they could spend $300 how they wished for their classroom. She said, Kathy, I want a rug. So she teaches littles, and so she wanted a rug that had, dots on it for where they could sit and, not get the cooties from each other or whatever. She wanted that. And she said, but it's $309. Can I order it or no? And I'm like, Kristen, you can order that for sure. And she has it now, and she was the very first person who sent a photo to us of her student sitting on the rug, and it was beautiful. So a paraeducator becoming an educator and becoming a teacher who knew what her class needed the most. It was awesome. Middle school teacher Monica is new to this position of being an ML multilingual teacher in 2 of our middle schools, Klondike Middle School and Battleground Middle School. She has been in our district in other capacities previously, but decided to take on this opportunity to work directly with the 53 languages that TSC has within it and help the middle schoolers adjust and learn and reach for the stars. So she started and was very nervous and overwhelmed, all the things that come with the beginning of a new career. And then came the $300. In conversation with her and our instructional coach who helps the ML population, we learned about translators. These are small handheld devices that are not connected to the internet, so they're independent, can function anywhere. And if you set it to whichever entering language you wish and whichever exiting or display language you wish, somebody can speak into that device, and on the screen, their words come up in the display language that has been selected. And so these are amazing, especially for the languages where we do not have live translators at our easy access. So speaking with Monica, thinking about her population, talking to our instructional coach, we looked at our remaining money, and we were able just last week to present the ML department with 48 of these translators, at least 2 in every school. At least 1 of those will be up in the office area so the nurse can speak to a student who doesn't know English in their own language and find out what is wrong. Same with the secretaries, same with the custodial staff. All of the people in the building will be blessed by these translation devices that rose initially from a conversation with Monica, our new ML person in those 2 middle schools. Lastly, and perhaps embodying everything that SEEDS stands for and everything that all people in this room, I think, hold as very important when we're talking about teacher well-being, we were able to work with Nadia. Nadia is a 2nd-year English teacher at McCutcheon High School. She and I have a great relationship. She's a wonderful young lady and is going to be in education thriving for many years to come if we have anything to say about it. She wrote me yesterday, just yesterday, which I think is divine timing because you need to hear this story. She wrote me yesterday about how she spent her $300. She didn't buy more stuff. She didn't buy a cozy desk chair. She didn't get posters. She didn't get organizing cubes. What she did is she looked at her class and she saw a student with low vision, a vision impairment, and he was reading a book very close to his face. I remember before I lost my vision completely being in that exact situation. Nadia looked at that kiddo, and Nadia began investigating and researching, and she found a magnifying device that cost just under $300. And Nadia selflessly used her money, her support money from this grant, to buy her student the magnifying device. When she bought it for him, he was so excited. He was reading. And when she told him about me, he had tears in his eyes, and he just kept saying, thank you, thank you, thank you. And that's a perfect transition for me to conclude. Thank you, thank you, thank you for leading teachers and students to the road that has endless possibility, the road that is based in well-being and happiness and support, the road that will hopefully keep Nadia, Kristen, and Monica and others in the district, in the state, teaching and making a difference, the road that will help our students find their feet and their direction. Thank you for programs like the Excellence in Education Awards, for entities like Dr. Rebecca Estes and others, for believing that there is good right now in the education world in Indiana, and it can keep getting better. Both things are true, goodness and potential. And that is what we found to be the most beneficial in SEEDS and in the bestowing of the grant money on our beautiful, wonderful, talented, resilient teachers. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Kathleen Emmer. As a very black and white person, both literally and philosophically, I think that last statement she said really holds true for me. There can be two things that are true, goodness and potential, and that's what we strive for, to recognize the goodness and then also continue to see the potential and act on that. So appreciate the time for presenting to you this morning the things that we've been up to, and look forward to continuing them.
Yeah, thank you, Dr. Estes. Thank you, Ms. Nemmer. What an incredible program you set up for your school district and your stories. I don't know about other board members. I had cold chills a couple times. So thank you for sharing that impact. Board members, any thoughts? Dr. Ernest.
I can't go without thoughts here. Kathy, I got to know you in 2015 for the first time. You've continued to inspire me. I have watched your career and the things that you've done, and appreciate your comments. And then to you and Dr. Estes and the department, I think we have seen you raise the teaching profession to, I know we want even more, right? But to the levels that we want. And I'm reminded, it's been a while since I brought up a rock band metaphor or story, but Lincoln Park has reformed, new front singer. I know you fine arts people are going to love this, right? And I am a rock artist student. You all know that, right? And they just came out with a new song, their newest thing, and it's called The Emptiness Machine. And when I first heard it, I thought of my world as a teacher, right? Because a couple of lines in there say, I only wanted to be part of something big, right? And that's what we want as teachers, and don't know why I'm hoping for what I don't receive. Now, why do I bring that line up? Because I want to commend Dr. Estes. I want to commend the department. I want to commend Kathy, who does a really good job of working with the Teacher of the Year cohort. Me, not so much. I just get worried when I'm now 14 years off since I feel old, right? So appreciate the work that you've done. But why do I bring that up? Because I think we now have raised the level of teaching to that, to where it is not emptiness anymore. We recognize that our teachers are so important. I used to say when this put students first was like the cliche that I always got frustrated with because I didn't see people always doing it. I always said we need to put teachers first so that we can put students first. So there's my saying for today. But I appreciate the work. Sorry that was long-winded. Go listen to that Lincoln Park song, and you'll see that we've raised teaching out of the empty machine. Thank you for doing that.
Thank you, Dr. Ernest, for your comments. I've circled that song as an action item to listen to. Any other comments from board members? Okay. Seeing none, we will now shift into public comment. And I just flipped through the various public comments we have. We look very forward to hearing from many of you today. A few things that as a board we talked about before on our board prep calls.
We want you as a community to know, like, we very, very much value fine arts, performing arts, music. It is essential to provide those opportunities for students. And so just so you understand, like, the place we're coming from as we listen to you, where you're coming from, and again, we are actively going to be listening. We tried to design the current diploma base in a way that has significant flexibility in multiple different courses. So you probably know the current Core 40 base does not require a fine arts credit. It mentions fine arts or performing arts or music. And so the new base, where the old base had 11 credits, the new base has 12 credits. So those students who want to take 2 semesters of courses in fine arts, performing arts, or music absolutely should. And we support that completely. And another board member said if a student has an interest in starting, we had one of our, speaking of Teacher of the Year, one of our candidates that we recognized at the gala is an art teacher who owns a business right on Main Street at Madison. So he's an entrepreneur, and he's also a teacher. So, I mean, we would encourage if those who are interested in pursuing music as a future even career path, to really balance that with entrepreneurship. But we ask you, as you're thinking through your public comments, to help us think through solution ideas. We want to absolutely support our students who are interested in the arts as a career path, and are interested in hearing your thoughts and how we might do that. So wanted to mention that. And on that note, our first one today is Kendra Johnson. Oh, yes, Kendra, before, if you don't mind, I forgot, our General Counsel, Philip Gordon, is going to read the quick statement before public comments.
Thank you, Dr. Jenner. Indiana's open door law permits state boards to adopt reasonable rules to govern the taking of oral public comment at a meeting. Boards may set time limits on each public comment and on the total amount of time for receiving oral public comment on a topic. Consistent with this framework, I'd like to remind everyone of the public comment policy in place for this meeting. Comments shall be limited to 3 minutes per commenter. Those who have registered via the public comment form prior to today's meeting will be able to comment. In the interest of everyone's time, the time limit will be strictly enforced. When your time is up, you'll hear an alarm over at that desk and you'll be instructed to stop. Comments shall also be subject to the following rules consistent with board policy. No person may speak more than once. Comments shall be directed to the board, not to an individual board member. Questions will not be entertained. And comments shall not be abusive, argumentative. Persons making comments shall not debate comments made by other persons. Thank you very much. We look forward to your comments.
All right, thank you, Philip. Kendra Johnson.
Good morning to each and every one of you.
Good morning.
Fall is here.
Yes.
And so we should be looking at different benchmarks at what's been going on so far during the school year. I think it's excellent that we recognize the teachers that we do. And whenever I hear about great teachers, I think about the one teacher that my boys had when they attended Watson Academy for Boys in Gary, Indiana. Her name was Beverly Jelks, and she was STEM before STEM became mainline. She and I had a conversation the first day of school so that she could understand the talents of my son and the challenges I was having with him, getting him to learn. She worked with him and found out that he was a mechanical learner. In other words, he learned hands-on. You could give him the book, he wouldn't get it. But when you showed him hands-on, he could go back to the book and understand. That is one of the reasons why I am a firm supporter of emphasizing that every child learns differently. And it's an exceptional teacher that recognizes this and knows how to reach each one. Also, She arranged all sorts of science projects. She arranged for the students to have a conversation with the space station during the time. Sadly, she was not appreciated as much as she should have been. But the children, the young men that had her, appreciated her greatly. And one of my favorite trips with her was when they went down to the Martin Luther King Museum in Memphis, Tennessee. Some of those boys had never been outside of Gary. And my favorite comment was from a young man who touched the rail there and said, "This is real. This is not a book I'm reading. This is not something I'm seeing on TV. I am here. I feel it. It's real." Lastly, it's October, Title I. I wonder how many of the schools have had their Title I meetings, have met with parents and explained to them what Title I is and how it affects their children. I wonder how many parents know what a homeschool compact is. And I also wonder how many parents are getting ready for parent-teacher conferences, which should be coming up very soon as well. And benchmarks, have they checked with their teacher to see how well their children are doing now? Thank you, and I hope you have a great day.
Thank you, Kendra. And what I'm going to do is read off who is up and then who is on deck, just so you have an idea. So Abigail Krupinski, on deck, Grace Nye.
Hello, my name is Abigail Karpinski, and I'm a senior at Carmel High School and a fourth-year orchestra student. I advocate for maintaining a fine arts requirement to stay in place because these opportunities and courses have significantly enriched my education. Through orchestra, I've developed essential performing skills and gained invaluable experiences, such as participating in college invitationals and school concerts. These opportunities have not only boosted my confidence, but also allowed me to collaborate with a talented group of people in orchestra who just really value everyone around them. I can call people friends, and I have a great support system of teachers and students around me. The fine arts have fostered creativity, teamwork, and communication skills that are crucial for success in any field. Without this requirement, I would have missed out on these transformative experiences and the joy of creative expression. My experiences in orchestra have also inspired me to become a leader in United Sound, a national organization dedicated to helping students with intellectual and developmental disabilities learn experience in music. For the past 2 years, I've worked closely with these students, fostering an inclusive environment where everyone feels valued and empowered to express themselves through music. Orchestra has also taught me the importance of patience and adaptability skills that have been crucial in my role with United Sound. Leading rehearsals and mentoring students have not only reinforced my commitment to inclusivity, but has also deepened my understanding of the transformative power of music. I am grateful for how my journey in orchestra has shaped my leadership skills and strengthened my passion for creating opportunities for others to shine. Orchestra has profoundly shaped who I am today, providing me with not only just musical skills, but also essential life lessons of teamwork, discipline, and leadership. Through the collaborative nature of playing in orchestra, I learned how to communicate and connect with others, valuing every member's contribution to the collective sound. And for this, I am forever grateful. So I ask, we require fine arts credits. Thank you.
Thank you, Abigail. Grace Nye, and on deck, Arabelle Kimball. And when you're called, if you want to come to the front seat on deck, so Grace, if you come up, and then Arabelle, why don't you come to this front seat? Hi, Grace.
Hi, may I first ask a clarifying question about the policy of public comment? We were instructed to keep our testimony under 2 minutes, but we were told here that it's 3 minutes.
Yeah, so you do have 3. Thank you for asking that clarification. The board policy is 3 minutes. And you'll hear that timer at the same time we will, okay? Thanks, Grace.
Hi, my name is Grace Nye. I'm a senior from Carmel High School Philharmonic Orchestra. First, I would like to start off by saying thank you for your tireless work to guarantee that we, the students of Indiana, get the best possible education. However, the recent changes to the high school diploma regarding fine arts is something that I and many of my peers and teachers strongly disagree with. The current Core 40 diploma requires classes in fine arts to graduate. It was thanks to this prerequisite that I even took up the violin in the first place, gaining a lifelong hobby. It was because of this requirement that I was able to meet my closest friends and join a community. It was this obligation that allowed me to rise to the position of concertmaster and section leader, roles that have taught me the value of consistent hard work, tireless dedication, and how to be a leader, all things I wouldn't have developed without the fine arts requirement. I understand the rationale behind removing the requirement is to make room for work-based learning and class flexibility. But one must also understand that the skills students train through fine arts are applicable anywhere in adulthood, including the workplace and beyond. Being able to work hard, commit to a long-term activity, and lead others are things that create a successful employee, all traits I developed through orchestra. The argument could also be made that students can still take these classes without the requirement, and although this is true, it would mean thousands of children would miss out on a crucial learning experience that trains skills they wouldn't develop otherwise because of the option to simply choose not to. Teenagers don't have the foresight and maturity to take the course of action that best prepares them for the future, which is why the State Board of Education must prepare a diploma that properly guides them to take fine arts courses that will ensure they are competent and responsible employees, and more importantly, kind, creative citizens. And since Dr. Jenner mentioned earlier to have a suggestion for what to do, I would like to have my thoughts. I would recommend keeping the fine arts requirement and support work-based learning, not the other way around, because at the end of the day, it's more important to have a creative, imaginative person and citizen that can work with others than a good employee. Thank you for your time and consideration.
Thank you, Grace. So we'll have Arabella and then David Starkey on deck. Just as a reminder, and I can keep reminding us of this, the Core 40 currently does not have a fine arts requirement. There's a side-by-side document that you can find online. We're glad to make sure you have that link. So again, really appreciate the solutions, but I want to make sure that point is clear again. The Academic Honors Diploma currently does, which is about 35% of students. The Core 40 does not. So again, just wanted to, so we can have good conversation, just want to make sure that's clear. All right, come on up. Arabelle.
Good morning, members of the board. Thank you for the opportunity to speak this morning. My name is Arabella Kimball, and I'm here to speak to the necessity of performing arts in a high school curriculum. I respectfully ask for a 2-credit-hour arts requirement to remain as part of the general baseline diploma to ensure all Indiana students have the benefits of the arts as part of the well-rounded education. Additionally, I respectfully ask for the State Board of Education and the Department of Education to reinforce their commitment to the arts as a core subject. I go to Hamilton Southeastern High School. However, I grew up in a very small private school, and virtually the only motivation there was for me to move to public school was the orchestra program. Orchestra is where I feel most at home in my large school. It is one of the few aspects of my school that can remain constant, allowing me to retain the same teachers and community of peers for all 4 years of high school. Orchestra is incredibly enriching, and is why I have developed a more meaningful relationship with my directors than I've been able to with most of my teachers. I believe the consistency and community you gain in the arts is irreplaceable. Removing the requirement for fine arts in a student's curriculum closes the door to this depth of community. It is vital to a well-rounded education and to giving students new experiences they may not have considered otherwise. I know plenty of people who found a love for an art form only because they were compelled to try something new. In regard to fostering work-based learning, there is no other aspect of my current school day that does this more so than orchestra. Work-based learning refers to educational programs that integrate academic learning with practical work experience. Music and arts education is infamous for nurturing communication, teamwork, adaptability, problem-solving, leadership, work ethic, and critical thinking. We have exercises throughout the day that are specifically targeted toward cultivating how you interact and work with one another, while in another class I might be doing grunt work the entire day. Utilizing the community we all hold so dear, students perfect these skills in order for everyone to thrive. By withdrawing these arts requirements, you could be robbing students of the opportunity to discover passions and build these many skills. The reality is that many students, after their experiences in high school, dedicate their lives to fulfilling careers that enrich the tapestry of our society.
Thank you. David Starkey and Lisa Brooks, and they say a teacher has to say a thing 7 times in order for it to stick, and so I'm going to say it again. Fine arts is not a part of the Core 40 base diploma, just to be clear. And again, just having that level set will be helpful as we try to come up with solutions together so we all know where we are today. So again, the Core 40 today does not have that requirement. It is an option. Ready to hear from you. Thank you for being here.
Thank you, Secretary Jenner and board members. My name is David Craig Starkey. I am the president of the Indianapolis Consortium of Arts CEOs. I'm also the general director and the CEO of the Indianapolis Opera. While I look like I could play for the Indiana Hoosiers basketball team, and that is where I went to my school, I did graduate from the world's finest, let me repeat that, the world's finest music school in the world. That is based in Indiana. That is because of the history of music and art education in our state that goes back to the 1950s. The reason that I know this is that my father was part of the generation of the 1950s that helped establish the base of art and music as a core of this state. Every single one of you, including all of our Democratic, Republican, governor candidates, even our current governor and the lieutenant governor, all have an art and music background. We get to brag about Richard, our custodian of the state, because he was a singer. We get to brag about your poetry, the libretto of your band, because of art and music. That is what Indiana has always been about, is the core fundamentals of art and music. We can also talk about how art and music is part of our GDP economy, $8.2 billion. That's top 10 in our state. We can talk about it as an industry. We can talk about it as an influence of the NBA All-Star Game. We can talk about it as an influence of the greatest singers in the world that stand up and sing Back Home Again in Indiana, or Angela Brown that sings God Bless America. We brag about these things because it's not something that's nice and cute and wonderful. We brag about it because that is the art and music environment of Indiana for over 100 years. Why? Is because our forefathers established it as a base of our economy, as a base of our education, and a base of what makes Indiana the second most prolific art and music state in the country. So before you is great responsibility, but you live on the generational past that have established that art and music is core to our daily lives, to the fabric of Indiana, and to the economy of Indiana. We are not suggesting that you are making a mistake. We are suggesting that you continue to carry on those values that each one of you have been personally impacted by, and we get to talk about every single meeting. The art in the classroom, the music in the hallway, the students and the teachers that are here. What makes all of this better is art and music. Thank you.
Thank you very much, David. Lisa Brooks, and then on deck, Jenna Small.
Excuse me. Good morning.
Good morning.
My name is Dr. Lisa Brooks, and I have the honor of serving as the Dean of the Jordan College of the Arts at Butler University. In my role as Dean, I oversee the education of over 400 art majors, which is almost 10% of Butler's undergraduate population. I'm quite sure if you polled my students, most would share that they started their art journey in elementary school, if not earlier. For these students, studying arts in high school was a must, required or not. But I'm not here today to discuss my students, but rather those students who enter high school as a blank slate, Because often these students then enter college the same way, having chosen a major but little else. Interestingly, at the university level, we don't trust 18-year-olds to know what skills and experiences they might need for a life that's not only successful, but which also prepares them to be thoughtful, empathetic, and global citizens. So like most institutions of higher education, we require students to take an arts class. Why? What do we think would be missing from their adult futures without the arts? A quick peek at the student learning outcomes for our arts courses reveal that we expect our students to develop appreciation for the process of artistic creation. We expect them to actively participate in the creation of an artistic product and to participate in artistic and cultural events because we know that that will contribute to a lifelong engagement with the creative arts. In short, we find value in the study of creativity, which is frequently quoted as one of the top 5 applied skills sought by business leaders when they are hiring. And just as important as teaching creativity, the arts improve mental health, they teach empathy, and they build community. In fact, yesterday at Butler, I finalized a 6-figure estate gift from a Butler alum who graduated not from my college, but a gift that's directed to our marching band, which he noted as the highlight of his college career and which he had participated in while in high school. High school students, like college-age students, require guidance in creating their path from those of us who are in a position to see the bigger picture of what they need to be successful citizens of this world. That most definitely includes the arts, and I would therefore encourage us to but to insist that every Indiana high school diploma includes a fine arts credit requirement, including the Core 40. That we insist that the Honor Plus diploma includes co- and extracurricular performing arts activities as job preparation competencies, and that we insist that there's an option for a fine arts seal for the high school diploma. In short, let us please ensure that equitable access to the art remains a hallmark of Indiana public school education. It's that important to our world. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Dr. Brooks. Jenna Small, and then on deck, Brian Wiedner.
Hello, and thank you for the opportunity to speak with you today. My name is Jenna Small. I'm a senior pre-service music teacher from Butler University and a 2024 IMEA Outstanding Future Music Educator. I'm here today to share my experiences and my thoughts, as well as ask 3 things to you. 1, the inclusion of a fine arts credit requirement for all students. 2, the inclusion of a co-curricular and extracurricular performing arts activities as job preparation competencies for the Honors Plus diploma. And 3, the creation of a fine arts seal for the high school diploma. I was raised in Indiana, and for my love of music, it started here in an Indiana public school music classroom, which I was only in to fulfill my required fine arts credit. Fast forward 10 years, and that required course turned into my profession. Who would have known? My love of music stemmed from the knowledge I gained in Indiana schools from Indiana educators. However, as I look to the future, I struggled to see a path forward pursuing a music education career in Indiana due to the new proposed high school diploma. Within these new requirements, schools will no longer be required to fund fine arts programs, and available jobs will decline exponentially. The jobs remaining will either be undersupported or sought out by experienced veteran educators. Instead of facing these bleak prospects in Indiana, I've been exploring other options and looking at other states that do provide support to their fine arts programs in public schools and name things explicitly in their degrees. Currently, I'm excited by opportunities in Michigan, where they have recently implemented a bill providing $11 million to fund new K-5 music programs in schools and explicitly state the arts as a diploma requirement for their graduates. I'm not the only pre-service music educator that feels this way. While working at a fine arts camp, I met an Ohio-trained teacher that chose to pursue opportunities in Ohio and Kentucky over Indiana because of these reasons. Indiana is my home, and I do love it here. But why would I begin my career in a place that doesn't explicitly state the subject of my teaching field? Thank you.
Thank you, Jenna. Brian Wiedner. On deck, Heather Tanis.
Oops.
It's all right.
Break the podium over here.
We will not start your time until you're ready.
Thank you. Good morning. My name is Brian Widener. In my position as an associate professor in music education at Butler University, I visit dozens of schools a year working with arts educators and supporting their students. In the past month, the teachers I have met with have expressed several concerns about the current diploma plan and how the arts in Indiana are reflected within them. They expressed a desire to be here to share their perspectives with you this morning, but as it is a Wednesday morning, they had a more important place to be with their students. So I told them I would bring you some of their concerns. Indiana is defined by the arts. As you heard earlier, the country's second largest music school is at Indiana University in Bloomington. Music for All brings music educators and organizations across the country to their premier festivals and educational events here in Indy and in Muncie. The largest online music distributor, Sweetwater Music, is up in Fort Wayne, and the largest U.S. instrument manufacturer, Conn-Selmer, is in Elkhart. In 2019, $8.3 billion were brought into the Indiana economy through the arts, adding up to 2.4% of the state's GDP, and there were 9,647 arts-related businesses and 87,000 jobs generated by the arts. The arts literally define part of what Indiana is. Indiana fine arts consistently overrepresent our state at the national level. 2 examples, last year at the Bands of America National Marching Band Championships, 4 of the top 12 bands in the country were from Indiana. At the prestigious Midwest Clinic, 2 of the 40 school ensembles that were brought in from across the globe were Indiana programs. Excellence runs through the lifeblood of Indiana arts education, but importantly, it is currently not equitably available to all students across the state in all schools. Every teacher I spoke with emphasized that the arts prepare students for life, emphasizing the role that collaboration, student leadership, communication skills, critical thinking, and metacognition play in their programs. They pointed to the success their students have upon leaving their programs and continuing education and in the workplace. They expressed concerns for issues of equity in the arts that were not mentioned as part of the high school curriculum, especially in communities that have limited resources and difficult decisions to make about what to include or exclude in their programs. They know that the arts are where we preserve the soul of our nation, and that any loss of the arts in school of any size would be a loss to our identity as a people. We recognize that the current Core 40 does not require the arts, but currently, 35% of students have it included in their honors diploma, and it retains a discussion at the table in each of these schools. I want to emphasize that regardless of past practice, we as an arts field believe it is integral that the arts are explicitly included alongside other required disciplines for all students, as it is critical for student development. As a representative of the arts community in Indiana, we're asking for 3 actions. 1, the inclusion of a fine arts credit for all students, not just some, to ensure equitable access to the arts for all students in all schools. 2, the inclusion of co- and extracurricular performing arts activities as part of the job preparation competencies for the Honors Plus diploma. And 3rd, the creation of a fine arts seal for the high school diploma to encourage further engagement with the arts. Thank you for your attention to ensuring that the arts are able to have that schools are able to have high quality arts programs in all schools across our state. Thank you again.
Thank you, Brian. Heather Tanis, and on deck, Doug Tanis.
Good morning. My name is Heather Tanis, and I am the mother of 3 children from Pendleton in Madison County. 2 of our kids are currently in college, and the 3rd is a high school junior. Our 2 older kids both earned the academic honors diploma, and our junior is on the same track. I appreciate that the board is re-examining the graduation requirements with a critical eye. And it's good to take a fresh look on a regular basis to make sure that our state is supporting the development of our young people. However, I am greatly concerned that the unintended consequences will lead to a reduction in arts education opportunities. Being in band has meant so much for our children, so much more than learning to play instruments. It has taught them the importance of showing up on time, being prepared to do your part, and following through on your commitments. We are often one of the last families to leave a band event, but it is worth the extra time to watch your child helping to get all the chairs and stands put away. As they moved into leadership roles, our kids learned to manage their time effectively, to take responsibility for solving problems, and to resolve conflict in a healthy way. These are all things that are easy to talk about, but being in band gave them the opportunities to do them. In her photography and jewelry classes, our daughter gained experience in working independently while on a deadline, as well as collaborating with others when needed. These are all essential skills for being members of the workforce, and they are already woven into the fine arts classes. Music has always been an important part of our family's life, but not all children grow up with that. Given the research that shows how much music education has a positive effect on cognitive development, I strongly feel it is essential that all students are able to participate in music education. I respectfully ask today for a 2 credit hour fine arts requirement to be included as part of the new general baseline diploma. Especially if this is the only diploma to be awarded going forward with the seals. Right now, the 35% of students who earn the academic honors diploma are reaping this benefit of fine arts. I ask that we find a way to maintain and even increase this proportion so that more students are to be positively affected. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Heather. Doug Tanis, and on deck, looks like Webb Parker.
Good morning, members of the board. My name is Doug Tanis. I'm a father of 3 children from Pendleton in Madison County. Thank you for your dedication to public education in our state and for the work that you're doing to help ensure that all young Hoosiers have the opportunities they need to be prepared for the workplace and to lead lives of purpose and fulfillment. As you consider revisions to our high school diploma requirements, I ask that you bear in mind the critical importance that music and arts education plays for all students. Through their experiences in Pendleton's excellent band program, all 3 of our children have had the opportunity not only to explore their creativity individually, but also to learn the value of working with others. There is no better place than a band, choir, or orchestra for students to experience the rewards that come from giving their best efforts for each other in creating something great together. Although our children have not chosen careers in music, I credit their music education with a great deal of their ability to work well with others. Our son is currently an applied mathematics major at Northwestern University, an institution that places a heavy emphasis on the value of working collaboratively. His experiences in band, particularly as a drum major in marching band, helped him gain admission to Northwestern and will help him throughout the rest of his education and truly for the rest of his life. I am concerned that one unintended consequence of the draft requirements could be reduced access to music and arts education, especially in smaller rural communities like ours, by implying that students must make a choice between the arts and career preparedness, when in fact an experience with the arts is integral to preparedness for both the workplace and for a fulfilling life. I respectfully ask that you consider including 2 credit hours in the arts as part of the new diploma requirement for all students, not just those students who already have a passion for the arts. This would help to ensure that whatever path they may choose in life, all Hoosier students will benefit from the opportunities that our own children have had. Thank you.
Thank you, Doug. Webb Parker, and then on deck, Julie Goodman.
Good morning, Dr. Jenner. Good morning, board members. Thank you for the opportunity to speak with you this morning. I'm Dr. Webb Parker. I am not a Hoosier, but I have chosen to make Indiana my home, and currently I serve as Senior Director for Innovation and Strategic Partnerships with Arts for Learning. A little advertising for you this morning. In that role, and what we do at Arts for Learning is we make sure we create arts integration experiences in our schools. And I want to, much to my boss's chagrin, I'm going to go off script. She's sitting right there. Sorry, Anya. I figure she won't fire me since this is public, right? So I want to point out some things that we said this morning, starting with our 3 shout-outs. We shouted out Blue Ribbon Schools, we shouted out our Teacher of the Year, and we shouted out our custodian who has made our state look so wonderful. What do those 3 things have in common? The arts. I guarantee you, if you look at those 16 Blue Ribbon schools, the arts are a prominent part of what's going on in those schools. Now here's the thing, I'm not here to talk and advocate for those kids who are gonna do choir, they're gonna do band. I'm not here to advocate for them. There's plenty of advocacy for those folks. I'm here to advocate for that kid who isn't going to choose for whatever reason, which is why we have to have that requirement. I want to bring this to reality. I want to tell you about Gary G. Gary G is an artist that contracts with us, and currently he is a part of what we call our ABC fellowships, Artist Building Community. He's over at Matchbook Learning. What Gary has done is he went into Matchbook and he said, what does this community need? What do you as students need? How can I help? This is also Gary's home community. And what the students determined was that housing and housing inequities was what they really, really needed to focus on. So Gary used his artistic background to create and build the concept of tiny homes. He brought in artists, designers, he brought in architects, city planners to do this project. And these were not kids that got to elect to come into this. These were kids who were in a specific class and they were part of this project. And the creative and divergent thinking that has happened in this program is amazing. It's amazing. I hope you all can get out to see it at some point. So I urge you today to don't only think of the arts as music, drama, drawing, theater. Think of the creative possibilities when we require students to encounter someone like Gary G. Thank you.
Thank you, Webb. Julie Goodman, and on deck, Penny Demick.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I'm Julie Goodman. I am a proud Hoosier, and I'm a direct product of our state's historic commitment to arts education. Today, I have the honor of serving as president and CEO of Indy Arts Council, and we are proud to represent hundreds of creative businesses and thousands of cultural employees and entrepreneurs based in central Indiana's 9-county region. I do understand the current state of our requirements. I appreciate that, and it has been actually a bit of a sobering exercise to understand what the current requirements are. So on behalf of our sector, I'm here to advocate for what appears to be a new fine art requirement as part of the general baseline diploma to ensure all Indiana students have the benefits of arts education. Flexibility is great, but we know if it is not required, access to these programs is at risk of being cut. We have seen this over and over again, and it is at most risk with our urban and rural schools, and that is exactly the students that need access to these programs the most. Our sector generates more than $500 million in annual economic impact. We serve 6.5 million residents and visitors every year, and we also anchor the state's broader creative economy, which generates more than $9 billion to the state's GDP. Disregarding arts education as core to our high school diploma requirements is not only a disservice to today's students, as you've heard many examples of, but it will erode and eventually eradicate the talent, workforce, and audience pipelines that are essential to fueling the state's $9 billion and growing creative economy. So we believe the direct cost to today's students and the downstream impact to our broader economy and quality of life will be devastating, and regional residents agree. We just did a new household survey, and a supermajority of regional residents believe arts and culture is essential to improved quality of life and place, to health and well-being, to learning outcomes for youth, to our economic growth and revitalization, and our collective ability to attract and retain workforce talent. All of this starts with access to arts education for our youth as core to their high school and education experience. And finally, on a personal note, I am a child of generations of Indiana teachers, and I am so glad this morning to hear of our focus on well-being and happiness of teachers. But we are turning our backs on the well-being and happiness of students if we do not prioritize arts as core to their education. I thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, Julie. Penny Demick, and then on deck, Paisley Gibson.
Good morning. Thank you for allowing me the opportunity to speak. My name is Penny Dimick, and I'm in my 46th year of teaching. I have spent many years teaching in a public school. I've taught in private school. I've taught in faith-based schools. And currently I'm at the university. I have spent the last 30 years teaching perspective, developing and enjoying watching the progression of people moving into the teaching field. And there is nothing better than watching one of your students go through and turn out and be a teacher. And then I've had the opportunity recently to have students of my former students come up and say, your student made an impact on my life. Arts education has impacted my life. One of the classes that I teach at Butler is Foundations in Music Education, and it is for first-year incoming freshman students who think they want to be music teachers. And one of the assignments that we do in that class is they talk about their most influential teacher, the person who had the greatest impact on their life. And I've done this for over 30 years. And I can say that over 75% of those students have said to me, the person who impacted me the most was my high school band, music, choir, orchestra, art teacher, or even world language teacher who have impacted my life in ways that I can't even begin. They've taught me about how to become the person that I am. They have impacted me in amazing ways. Students have said things to me like, the reason I got up in the morning was because I could go and be in band. The reason I went to school was because I couldn't let my orchestra director down. I had to be there. And I think that as we look at the big picture, and we've looked at a lot of little pictures, but when we look at the big picture, the impact of the arts on students, and particularly students that I have worked with, is dramatic and changed their life in ways and made them productive students long-term, not just short-term, but certainly long-term. I want to also mention as a parent, I have two sons who came through Indiana, and I'm not originally from Indiana, so it was new bringing students through Indiana schools. And in watching them develop, we actually chose schools based on the opportunities that our students had in the arts and also in world languages, interestingly enough. I can say that as my children went through school and we got more and more involved and were able to experience the impact of the arts and education on our own children, it's dramatic. It is absolutely dramatic. And I think that perhaps students, even though we say that they aren't required to do fine arts, it is mentioned in the Indiana Academic Diploma. And very quickly, it needs to be mentioned, it needs to be required, and the creation of a fine arts seal for the students who excel that we heard from today that were amazing, I think we would be taking a step backwards without it.
Yeah, thank you, Penny Demick, Paisley Gibson, Anna Aslanova. And then just as a heads up as well, we also believe it's important to call out the arts. So if you look at that side-by-side document, it is specifically called out. So again, noted on that one, and that one's called out specifically, the arts are. Oh, there it is. Yeah, scroll up. Please, please. Oh, scroll down. Oh, it looks like it's gonna, yeah, right there. Stop. You can see, this is a little computer technology test. Stop. Okay. Don't touch it. You can see the side by side there, and this is really helpful. So on your left, you have the current Core 40, and you can see directed electives. It says any combination of world languages, fine arts, and/or career and technical education. So again, we're hearing from CTE folks as well, right? That's not required either, but has not been required. But then you go to the nude-based diploma, where it says 12 credits. Students are encouraged to utilize the new readiness seals to align to these personalized electives with their unique goals. Personalized electives can include a variety of courses such as CTE, performing or fine arts, and world languages. So that specific call out is there, and we're glad to clarify that more if helpful, but just wanted to point that out. Thanks for showing that. Okay, now we'll have Paisley.
Hi, good morning.
Good morning.
Thank you so much for the time to speak and share my thoughts about the diploma requirements. I have three initial concerns about not requiring a fine art. And my recommendation is that there be a fine art requirement for all diploma tracks. And I also want to back up and just share a little bit about my background. I'm here today with my colleagues at Arts for Learning. I started this role about 7 months ago. Prior to that, I spent 15 years teaching public school, K through 12, and also across 3 states, Georgia, Florida, and also Indiana. And so I feel I have a pretty robust view of the needs in our state of schools right now. And I can assure you, we need to be doing everything we can to add more arts than take away in any area of K through 12 education. But back to the point of the diploma requirement, my first concern is the implications it has on the social, emotional, and cognitive development of students. Also, the exposure to equitable access to the arts. Without that requirement, there will be a decrease in equitable access. And also, maybe even the most important concern is I'm concerned about what that message sends about the value we have for the arts. I think about my teenager who attends Heron High School. She's a freshman this year, and she's an A student really struggling with those high-level math courses. And as her parent, I know what track she's on. I know that she is going to go into a fine art profession. She's struggling with courses that are being required of her that she and I talk about all the time, that those are skills she may never use, but she will absolutely use the skills that she's learning in her arts courses. I also want to share that I did a part of my graduate research. I did a qualitative study over several years about a choreographic study about the arts, and I found strong correlations between the arts and the enactment of social justice in schools as a whole. I saw a correlation between requiring the arts and everything from student attendance to school culture to decreased bullying. So many things correlated to just simply having the arts not only as a requirement but intentionally infused in the curriculum. And so anytime we are having a conversation about lessening the arts, I think it's a real serious concern. But I thank you so much. I appreciate you for listening to my thoughts.
Thank you, Paisley. Anya, and then finally, last but not least, Rick Wilkerson.
Good morning.
Good morning.
My name is Anya Aslanova. I'm very glad to be here today. I have the honor to serve as the president and CEO of Arts for Learning. I thank all of my colleagues here in the room for speaking today about the impact of the arts, especially on the youth that we serve. Today, I actually want to share my perspective as a resident of Marion County, as a mother, and someone who was born and raised in a different country. My children attended IPS schools, and I'm so thankful that the arts were part of their upbringing and their education. One of the schools that is a blue ribbon school, actually, that you mentioned. Their education was made whole by the arts. My now college student is continuing to play cello and saxophone and pursuing film as a major. My high school junior is planning to pursue a STEM field. Of course, he had to be different from his older brother. But because he had the arts and music as his steady companion, which, by the way, he didn't really appreciate to begin with because it was hard. He had choices in his career. He has better problem-solving skills. He's able to manage his ADHD and dyslexia diagnoses. And he can rely on the arts as an outlet. If it weren't required, albeit by his parents, he wouldn't have the opportunity to do those things. I grew up in Kiev, Ukraine. I was fortunate to have the arts highly regarded and valued in my school education and in my culture. My education was made whole by the arts. When I started college here, I actually majored in finance and visual communications. Having a strong education in both math sciences and the arts, I knew I had choices. Now in my role, we work hard to ensure that all youth in our community, regardless of their background or zip code, have access to and experience the arts, so they too have choices and to ensure that their education is whole. The arts contribute to an enriched lifestyle, healthier brain, and therefore healthier life. If we don't require the arts as a graduate requirement, many students, especially those who live in the communities that are already underserved, would not have the opportunity to experience an essential skill, develop a voice, and become a wholesome, healthier individual. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Anya. Rick Wilkerson.
Good morning, everybody. Thank you for this opportunity. My father was a college professor, and I come from a long line of teachers, and he specialized in math. Later, he was in school administration. He often testified at hearings like this about school finance a long time ago. None of you probably remember him. That's not the point. The point is, my dad was a math professional. And this is a math problem. Really, what it comes down to is a math problem. If only 35% of the students have to take arts, that's already a problem. We need to have 100% have to take some arts. This is a team-building exercise. It's a foreign language. It's an experience. And as so many people have said here, you don't have any idea what you're doing in high school. You don't know what you want. You don't know what your talents are going to be. I personally was thrown out of choir in 4th grade, okay? Told I couldn't sing. So I carried that for many, many years. Later, after that, so I didn't take music in school. I took art for my requirement, and I was terrible at it. Later, I became a musician. Kind of just being hard-headed because I got thrown out of choir, I guess. But anyway, I am the executive director of the Indiana Entertainment Foundation, which is focused on Indiana music history. We are the only organization in the state that's trying to preserve and document Indiana music history. In the letter I sent some of you, and maybe all of you, I hope, I pointed out that Crispus Attucks in the 40s and 50s was central to the development of Indiana Avenue jazz. Some of the people that came out of there, Wes Montgomery, David Baker, J.J. Johnson, would they have taken classes in music if they didn't have to? Who knows? But David Baker, of all those, went on to Indiana University and created the jazz program that is world famous today. So it's a math problem. The less opportunity you have, the less classes there are going to be, the less teachers there are going to be, the less students there are going to be. So when I look back on Indiana music history, and one of the things that's really rewarding about this is to find out how much wonderful music has come out of Indiana. And I could go on and speak for days about that, and I'm not going to do that because I got 3 minutes. But it is amazing what's come out of Indiana. And so many of these kids started in high school band, orchestra, and choir. If you don't get that experience, you have to find it on your own. And most don't have the resources, don't have access, can't afford private lessons. They go on to do other things. So I didn't know before today, because I'm not up to speed on this, that this was not part of the core requirements. But arts should be. They really need to be. It is, like I said, it's a foreign language. It's a team-building exercise. It's an opportunity for creative thought. It's a gateway towards being a better human being. Whether you do it for a living or you don't, having music and art in your life makes you a better human being, makes you a happier human being, and a more productive citizen. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Rick. So I was making several notes throughout the comments today. You know, on behalf of the board, it was really a pleasure to hear your passion came through, your stories came through. But the other thing that really resonated, we hear, and many of us have been on boards, this one and others, and hear hours and hours and hours of public testimony. You are very articulate and just very respectful. So I just want to thank you for that. It definitely helps as we're thinking through solutions and how this could look ahead. So board members, any other comments before I ask for a motion to adjourn? Looking around, saying none. Is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved. Aye.
All in favor? All right, we are adjourned. Thank you.